Hello beautiful people, it's Mai here from Nintendo Life, and today we're reviewing Reanimal on the Nintendo Switch 2. This review was originally written by the lovely Niall Bowie and put into a video format by yours truly. Before we continue with the review and before you get up and adjust your screens, we will preface that the reason why the footage looks so dark is because this is what the game actually looks like. Now without further ado, let's get stuck in. If you're a horror fan and you own a Switch 2, you should definitely play Reanimal. From the moment it pulls you into its bleak, nightmarish world, it's clear that the developer Tarsier Studios is building on everything it learned from the Nightmare series whilst pushing its signature horror sensibilities to unnerving new heights. This is an ambitious evolution of the cinematic horror puzzle platformer formula the studio helped define with Little Nightmares. One that plays out less linearly in larger 3D spaces, with more varied combat and traversal mechanics and bombastic set pieces. It does so with impeccable sound design, gorgeous lighting, and a pitch-perfect atmosphere. Reanimal marks a shift from the Tim Burton-esque macabre of the studio's early titles towards what, by the end, feels closer to the shell-shocked horror of L.M. Klimov's war film Come and See, infused with a profane supernatural. Its moments of pulse-pounding escalation overwhelm the senses, while quieter stretches seethe with tension and fear of the unknown. There are small points of friction along the way, whether in busier encounters that can briefly disorient, or in lengthy load times that occasionally interrupt the otherwise seamless flow. Even so, these are minor frustrations in a game that so consistently delivers on its vision, and they do little to dull the impact of its world, atmosphere, or stellar set-piece design. Narratively, you play as a brother and sister venturing through a hellish world in an effort to rescue their missing friends, a simple setup that effectively supports the game's focus on cooperative survival. There is well-executed voice acting that elevates certain moments and sheds lights on the predicament facing the characters, though instances are sparse. Reanimal is fully playable in single player, which pairs you with an AI companion, but it supports local and online co-op with GameShare too. The game frequently requires its protagonist to act in tandem, flipping switches simultaneously or coordinating actions to progress, and both playable characters function identically with no mechanical advantage given to either. Our review is primarily based on our time playing solo, and the companion AI generally keeps pace, responds reliably to prompts, and does a solid job supporting the game's more demanding sequences, particularly during chases and combat. Rare moments of awkward AI behaviour self-resolved and were typically tied to puzzle conditions not yet being met. Compared to the playable protagonists of Little Nightmares, who often feel almost doll-like, aka underpowered, limited in their movement, and unable to reach the height of doorknobs, the characters in Reanimal are larger and more mechanically capable, while the core loop of escaping a hostile space by cleverly eluding and besting an area's apex threat remains intact. While Little Nightmares is built around a side-scrolling progression, Reanimal's environments are far more intricate and non-linear, requiring exploration and backtracking to find the tools needed to overcome obstacles. There are traversal mechanics through the use of a boat and other vehicles, though it's best to avoid detailing them here to prevent spoilers. The game also includes light melee combat, primarily against enemies of your own size, with the companion AI mirroring the player's actions, attacking in tandem and raising a light source to illuminate the surrounding darkness. The game's lighting and colour palette is genuinely gorgeous, yet it's frequently unafraid to plunge you into pitch-black darkness. Given just how dark the lighting can be at times, it's worth noting that a small white indicator appears when you get close to objects, like hatches and levers that can be interacted with, as well as cracks on the walls you can squeeze through, which feels like thoughtful environment design that guides the player without being intrusive or breaking immersion. That said, it's still possible to overlook smaller items, such as a key on the floor or a tool required for a puzzle amidst the cluttered space, which can briefly stall progression until you've discovered it. These small objects are marked by a subtle white outline when approached, but spotting them can occasionally require visual skimming of the environment. There are a variety of well-hidden collectibles scattered throughout, including masks that your characters can wear, which are typically tucked away behind easy-to-miss hidden rooms. Reanimal's relentlessly grim world is also dotted with flyers pinned to the walls, which unlock concept art and offer an additional incentive to explore off the beaten path. The game's audio design also stands out, especially when played with headphones. Ominous bellows, grinding factory machinery, creaky floorboards, howling wind through open spaces, blaring car alarms, and a barrage of abrasive noises sharply heighten the stress and tension, especially as you're tailed by no shortage of horrid things during chase sequences. A recurring frustration we had with Tarsia's previous game, Little Nightmares 2, was the use of encounters that leaned too heavily into trial and error, and instant deaths often required repeated attempts to progress. Attempting a section over and over broke our immersion and diminished the scare factor. Reanimal, however, does a better job of minimizing such friction. There are a few moments where repetition is difficult to avoid simply because it's easy to misunderstand what the game is asking of you, such as when player characters are forced to traverse a crumbling multi-forked path while tied together. But arguably, the game's biggest fault is that it can sometimes take more than 15 seconds to reload after you die. You can complete Reanimal within 4 or 5 hours, but there's no padding. Whilst the first act perhaps too closely resembles Little Nightmares from the design of its antagonist to the rhythm of its environmental puzzling, Reanimal steadily sets itself apart visually and narratively as it progresses, while gameplay becomes more varied and ambitious. The game's final act culminates in a genuinely thrilling spectacle that leaves behind layers of lore for die-hard players to unpack. By the time the credits roll, everything the game has been building towards comes together in a way that feels greater than the sums of its parts. It marks Tarsiers Studios' best work to date and a confident evolution of their creative vision. With Reanimal, Tarsier Studios delivers its darkest, boldest work yet, expanding on the Little Nightmares formula with non-linear exploration, striking audiovisual design, and bombastic set pieces. This is an imaginative horror experience that confidently delivers its vision while offering accessible co-op play that fans of the developer have long clamored for. We here at Nintendo Life give Reanimal on the Nintendo Switch 2 a 9 out of 10. Now it's time for my thoughts, haha. I absolutely love the Little Nightmare series, so when I got the chance to play through this and work on the video review, I was absolutely ecstatic. Saying that, I was a little bit disappointed that I wasn't, and it's really weird to say this, I wasn't that scared during the game. I am a massive wimp when it comes to horror games. I never used to be, and I remember playing through Little Nightmares the first time around and being just peeing my pants a little bit, mostly because of the tension and because of just the anticipation of it all. However, when I was playing Reanimal, it kind of felt like a different thing. What I played through in the demo is was tension and scary and things chasing me. Did not like it. But I think it's because I maybe got desensitized a little bit throughout the game because it was a slightly bit repetitive. But I generally enjoyed it. I think it's mostly because I was kind of clinging onto the lore side of it and the mystery of what was going on in the game, like why the kids all kind of looked like that, what were these monsters all about, which is what I generally love about the Little Nightmares series. It's always what's really drawn me to it. But later on I think I just got kind of used to it. However, saying that, that's only a tiny little small thing that kind of made me a little bit disappointed about the game. Overall though, there's a lot in this review that I really agree with. Having the fact that the playtime was really a little bit lower, like 4 or 5 hours, was excellent for me because I got to replay this game this week because I've been unwell and I wanted something to keep me company, which has been great. You can probably tell my voice. I suppose I should say, before I ramble on a bit more and before I lose my voice anymore, I definitely see myself going back in and replaying Reanimal just because I want to try and get all the masks, I want to try and get all the concept art and get all the extra goodies and kind of fulfill the completionist in me. I suppose another little thing that I did touch on earlier in the review in the intro is that another little thing that kind of bugged me a bit was just how dark the game was, saying that it was kind of a bit to my own detriment, I think, because even though you have a little lantern, you have a little lighter, I just never used it. I don't know if I decided I just wanted to play in hardcore mode, but that's just how it went. It might have also been because I've played too many horror games and I was worried that if I had the light on, then the baddies would see me. Again, I will circle back. I will say that the story and the tension and the grossness and everything really interested me, and that's the kind of horror game I prefer. Like, I love my Silent Hills, so the psychological side I really like, and that's what Reanimal kind of reminded me. I'm not saying it's a new Silent Hill, but it's got that same sort of elements. So yeah, I'm really excited to replay the game again with my other half and see how I get on with that. See how scared we get.